last week and today as well. I was studying the Diamond Sutra, and today, Namaste, first visitor. Today I'm going to read the Heart Sutra. Like I said previously, the Diamond Sutra, if I'm not mistaken, when we say TTA, I think that refers to Buddhist proper sutras. Morning, Manesh. Namaste, brother. And sutra, the R is rolled, if I'm not mistaken. I think refers to sutras that aren't necessarily uh, Buddhist in origin. They may be from a different tradition, like Hindu, if I'm not mistaken. That's my understanding in the difference in the word sutra with two T's and sutra, as we say it in English. Western pronunciation, sutra. You don't roll the R's, but sutra is the way I say it. Um, I'm reading this from Wikipedia, but the actual Heart Sutra, I'm reciting it from a source. It says in the Triratna Buddhist community. It's actually not very long. It's a pretty short sutra. Um, I'll show you how short it is. That's it. The Heart Sutra. And Sutra, the Heart Sutra, is a popular sutra in Mahayana Buddhism. There's different sects of Buddhism: Mahayana, Theravada, Zen Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism. But the core teachings are the same. Okay, the core teachings are the same. In Sanskrit, the title Prajna Paramita Hardaya translates as the heart of the perfection of wisdom. The sutra famously states, form is emptiness, sunyata. Emptiness is form. It is a condensed expose on the Buddhist Mahayana teaching of the two truths doctrine, which says that ultimately all phenomena are sunyata, empty of an unchanging essence. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, let's go back to the Heart Sutra. Namaste to everyone and to my four visitors. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas, the sundered the bonds that cause him suffering. Let's read that again. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. If I'm not mistaken, let's look up the word skandhas. I think they mean body aggregates. Skandhas definition means the heaps, aggregates, collection of groupings. In Buddhism, it refers to the five aggregates of clinging, the five material and mental factors that take part in the rise of craving and clinging. Here's and Wikipedia says skandhas or khandhas in Pali, skandhas in Sanskrit means heaps, aggregates, collection of groupings in Buddhism. It refers to the five aggregates of clinging. I'm not even gonna, I'm not even going to begin to try to pronounce that word. I probably could pronounce it. Pankup Adana Kanda. Pankup Adana Kanda. The five material and mental factors that take part in the rise of craving and clinging. They are also explained as the five factors that constitute and explain a sentient being's person and personality. I really want to see this picture, but looks like it has on it perception, feelings, mental. Hold on. Here we go. The historical Buddha spoke often of the five skandhas, also called the five aggregates or the five heaps. The skandhas, very roughly, might be thought of as components that come together to make an individual. Everything that we think of as I is a function of skandhas. They're talking about the five skandhas here. Okay. Skandhas and dukkha. In the five skandhas, the first skandha, form, rupa. The second skandha, skandha, sensation, or vedana. The third skandha, perception, samjna, or in Pali, sana. So we have form, sensation, perception. The fourth skandha is mental formation, samskara, or in Pali, sankara, mental formation. And the fifth skandha is consciousness, vijnana, or in Pali, vinana. So the five skandhas are form, sensation, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And there you go. Sometimes it's good that we slow down a little bit to go over some of these words that people are not familiar with. Now, we shall continue. The Bodhisattva of compassion. This is a reading of the Heart Sutta, one of the great sutras in Buddhism that's read on a daily basis in many Buddhist communities like this one, the Triratna Buddhist community. Let us begin. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. Here then, form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is only emptiness. Emptiness only form. Feeling, thought, and choice, consciousness itself are the same as this. This is this is a revised um, translation, so some of the words are closer to the English meaning. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So, in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought, or choice, nor is there consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing, nor ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance, no withering, no death, no end of them, nor is there pain or cause of pain, or cease in pain or noble path to lead from pain, not even wisdom to attain. Attainment to is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great Dharani, the radiant, peerless mantra, the prajna paramita. That word prajna paramita, my understanding is it means the perfection of wisdom, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate, paragate, parasamgate, bohisvaha. Gate, gate, peragate, pera samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, peragate, pera samgate, bodhisvaha. I think that means gone, gone, gone away. We can this is a thick Sanskrit. Let's just do this. 'Cause I don't speak Sanskrit. I've been reading it for a while in different passages, but I do not speak it. Uh, because that pedagate, the part at the last part, this part is often recited by itself. Gate, gate, pedagate, pedasam gate, bohisva. Gate, gate, pedagate, pedasam gate, bohisva. Gate, gate, pedagate, pedasam gate, bohisva. Let's just put it up here so I can get the translations correct. Because I don't want to say incorrectly. Um, Here we go. Gate, gate, paragate is a Buddhist mantra that is found at the end of the Heart Sutta, often cited as the best known Buddhist scripture and included in the Prajna Paramita, perfection of wisdom. Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bohisva. And they say it a little different. And the meaning, if you have a diacritic font installed, this mantra is transliterated as gate, gate, uh, in Sanskrit. There he goes. Gate means gone. Pedagate signifies gone to the further shore and is a stock Sanskrit expression used by Buddhists and Jains to refer to arahants. The word para signifies the bank of a river, opposite to the one on which one is presently standing. Pedagate signifies gone to the further shore. Here we go. Gone. Literally. Literal meaning is gone, gone, gone beyond, gone utterly beyond. There you go. I just wanted the literal definition. Gone, gone, gone beyond, gone utterly beyond. Gate, gate, peragate, perasamgate, bodhisva. The key word is bodhi, a feminine noun in the vocative sense, which means awakening. All the other words are also in the vocative feminine and therefore modify bodhi, awakened. There you go. The Heart Sutra is very terse, succinct, short sutra. The way the Heart Sutra plays out for me, and I think other Buddhists, is I think it is a reminder in each moment of the difference in mundane and supra mundane, or things of purely material form and things that cannot be defined by form. When we speak in words, we are using form, okay? Because you have to form a mental concept to understand my words. I spoke about pauses and emptiness of a sorts last week. But the very nature of form is a formless state which cannot be defined. My understanding is that the Om Mani Padme Om is also referring to this state. Hail to the jewel in the lotus. The jewel in the lotus is this formless state which cannot be spoken or defined. It's the it is also the mother of wisdom. And so when I first started reading the Prajna Paramita, I understood conceptually this concept of emptiness, because you have to understand in Buddhism, the emptiness we talk about is based on the concept of dependent co-arising, we say in Buddhism, which is another way of speaking about the dependence of opposites on each other to have any definition at all. One pole to the next pole, right? So hate in the Buddhist teaching is just an emotion that is on a pole that is far removed from love, but not completely. And you need both to define, you need one to define the other, right? But the state that is beyond all dualities, this is the state people refer to as nirvana sometimes. But again, you're using words and letters to try and define the the, the something that is indefinable. At its, I would say, highest level, the word define is a way of defining the word indefinable, right? This is the paradoxes you get into when you study Buddhism and Hinduism too. But it also teaches you, the sutra is called the Heart Sutta. Okay. What is the heart of wisdom? What is the core? What is the concept that gives rise to the deepest wisdoms? And I my understanding and from my own experience, the understanding that as it says in the sutra, feeling, thought, choice, consciousness itself are the same as this. Same as what? It says before in the previous verse. Here then, form is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form. Form is only emptiness. Emptiness only form. So when I said previously that hate and love uh, were two emotions that were connected, but just on opposite polarities, like a bar magnet, right? North and south, but it's one magnet, right? And when you cut the magnet, when you break it, the the new magnet becomes a new north south, and the other component that you broke off also becomes a new north south. There's great wisdom in that understanding. This is all based on observation, insight. Okay, and the contemplative life says the contemplative path is one on which you have to sit with something until it permeates your being, because that the truth to the meaning of these great timeless teachings resides in here and in here. But unless that I become whole, right, your whole body will not be full of light. And for the I to become whole, right, the heart and the mind have a conversation that goes on forever. And when the heart and mind cannot communicate, I'll say, or they don't become one, then the knowledge that we have is mundane knowledge. Mundane means, you would say in the West we would call that things of the flesh, materialism. Okay, and for your understanding to permeate beyond the material level, you have to go beyond what you know. To go beyond what you know requires some foundational wisdom that you see within yourself. Okay, me myself, when I first started meditating, I did what was recommended. I sat down, I quieted my mind through breathing exercises. By focusing my attention on my breathing, I let the thoughts pass through my mind without grasping at them. And eventually, what happened is that my mind reached a level of um, quietude, non-thought, to the point where I could see these truths that, in fact, what I thought was self was, in fact, no difference, no different than the emptiness that I view when I look out into space. That's me. I am it. You see? So when you build your spiritual knowledge on foundational wisdom, wisdom that you yourself have learned through your own observations, when you go to the masters, as in the Upanishads or the Vedas or the sutras in Buddhism, when they speak to you of foundational truths, the resonance that you have with these foundational truths does not come from simply reading the text and understanding it with your left brain, the brain that understands intellectual undertakings. You have to understand it with your innermost being, right? And your innermost being has been there. What was your face before you were born to your mother, right? It's been there that long. To access that part of yourself, you have to learn to quiet the mind, okay? Chasing mundane thoughts all day long, day in and day out, it leads to the seeds of attachment that in human beings definitely sprout because we're born into this realm thinking a certain way about reality and the way we think about reality. If we have not reached the other shore, right? And it's funny because there's also a teaching that says the shore that you leave from is the same as the shore that you're trying to get to. Also, understand that, okay? So you have to build a boat for yourself while you're on land as well. I think the boat is a refuge, okay? In Buddhism, it says we take refuge in the three jewels: the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma. Dhamma, I think it's pronounced in some uh, languages. And so Buddhism is not nihilism. It is not belief in nothingness because we understand through our own work, through our own path, our own study, our own examination of our hearts. Not because somebody standing in front of the pulpit told me this. I truly, in my heart, understand that the definition of something at its highest level that can be understood by a human being is nothing, and vice versa. The definition of nothing at its highest level that can be understood as a human being is intellectually is somethingness. Nothingness, somethingness. Two poles on the same magnet. And it says here, it's a bodhisattva. So the being that is dedicated him or herself to the liberation of all beings and will not take refuge in nirvana until all beings are liberated. That's what a bodhisattva is. So know that the bodhisattva holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom. Let me read that again. So know that the bodhisattva holding to nothing whatever. Hold on to what? What is there to hold on to? Stand on what? You have to recognize delusion for what it is before you can be liberated from it. Doesn't mean that you won't exist anymore. You won't just pop out of existence. But this wisdom, this understanding is the core of who we are. The same as the wisdom that gave birth to the stars. And we can look out into space and see the blackness, that most of what you see in space is empty blackness. But when you look closer, it's not empty, because you have cosmic rays, the microwave background radiation that they see when they look in the universe. When you turn on your television, if and you see that white noise, that's evidence of the cosmic background radiation. The old televisions that we used to click, 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 click. When you get a white sheet, the static electricity they call it. No, it's not. That's the cosmic background radiation, the microwave level wavelength. It's around microwave wavelength, but this is the remnants of the explosion, if you will. But it's not really, because to have an explosion, you need to what? Have sound. Well, there was no sound, so how can we really call it an explosion? Okay, but anyway, that microwave background radiation is the remnant of the Big Bang. So when you look at emptiness, once again, you find form. But when you delve deeply into form, as you do when you study particle physics, you begin to understand that all you're doing is defining polarities. You're defining south by north and north by south. And this intellectual dance that we do, the dance of Shiva and Shakti, goes on forever. It never stops. And it is the source of form. It itself is emptiness. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is no other than form, right? You have to really contemplate this wisdom before it sinks into your being. And don't think this is like taking a test as we do in the West. The test is not of that type. I would say the test is more along the lines of, do you recognize the source of your own suffering? And we have very much come to understand in the West that the source of suffering is ignorance and the attachment to things that arise from an ignorant understanding of reality. This is in our being. We don't need to get this from anywhere. All you have to do is sit and quiet your mind, and these truths will reveal themselves to you. They may not be spoken in Sanskrit, they may not be spoken in English. It may just be in your heart. You understand this to be true, but you have to examine your heart before you can trust it, right? You have to examine it because the heart and mind become one, okay? And they're always one on some level. So you have to really examine your heart closely to see, is this really an intellectual understanding, or is this an experience I have with my being? And you can't confuse this with emotions, even, because those are skandhas, right? Skandhas. Remember the five skandhas: form, sensation, perception, number three, mental formations, and consciousness. So emotions fall into the skandhas, okay? You can't confuse form for emptiness, because there's also another saying in Buddhism that form is form and emptiness is emptiness. See, no matter where you want to stand, there is a place beyond. You see, and to get to the place beyond requires the quietude when we go into our innermost selves, right? My understanding is that the heart has a 40,000 neuron complex within it. So I think I learned this from listening to Melchizedek, the great teacher Melchizedek. And so he said that when you go when you go deeply into the heart, there is a mind within the heart. Okay. And in the old way, it was thought that our being resided in the heart. The soul, if you will, was the heart. That's not completely untrue. But to understand that, you have to go deeper. This is where the teachings come from of chakras, okay? Levels of perception, if you want to think of it that way, because that's the way I think of it. Levels of perception until there are no levels, right? And there is no perception of self and other, i.e., nirvana. It says here in the Heart Sutra, so know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, perfected wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, delusions, attachments to wrong perceptions, wrong interpretations of reality, rid of fear bred by it. What's the source of fear? Ignorance. And on any level where ignorance resides, fear will be there next to it. Is freed of delusive hindrance, delusive delusion. Okay, there's a disease we study in medicine called it's an acute delusional state, and it happens often in the elderly when they have been over medicated or in the course of an infection progressing. Okay, but these acute delusional states in medicine are understood to have causes, right? To have causes. And in medicine, we understand that we have to search for the cause of the acute delusional states. Because once we find the causes, and understand that the Buddha is often, and rightly so, compared to a physician. In the Dharma espoused by the Buddha, each one of us is a Buddha, by the way. We all have Buddha nature. The truths espoused by the Buddha are within each one of us. If we but look deeply, if we look deeply, okay? But the source of delusion is understood to be taking non-truth as absolute truth, okay? And we go deeper. What is the cause of that? Attachment. Attachment to what? Wrong view, wrong understanding. And taking that to be truth, and then acting upon that and building your life upon that. Building the very thought processes, the very way you think upon that. And what does it say here? The Bodhisattva holding to nothing whatever. Because your core self is emptiness and form. Okay? But you're not familiar. Most people aren't familiar with the emptiness, the blackness of the universe, the darkness surrounding each star. They don't realize that if they study cosmology, they'll actually grow in their understanding, and they'll see that that emptiness is chunk full of somethingness. Right? It's not empty. You think it's empty, but it's not. But once you go to the source and you start trying to pin it down, it again becomes empty. Okay? That is the way it works. Emptiness is form, form is emptiness. But without the inquiry and the study, and to study something with a certain state of mind is different than studying something based on delusion and grasping and craving, right? The grasping and craving that take place in Buddhism is said to be the cause of suffering. attachment to wrong view, wrong understanding, and just attachment, period. Okay? Trying to find something to yoke ourselves to so that our anchor will be firmly grounded so as to eliminate all suffering. That's what most human beings on the planet Earth are engaged in, is that process. Trying to find a nice place to set weight anchor on. Well, the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever but dwelling in prajna, perfected wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, delusion. We just talked about acute delusional states in medicine, okay? But to understand a delusional state, you have to have the awareness of this by looking at yourself. In medicine, we see an older patient, and we see the older patient in the nursing home. They were fine before, maybe had a little bit of Alzheimer's, but they weren't acting this way before. And we make the diagnosis in medicine, acute delusional state, right? And we know that there are causes of this delusional state in medicine, my discipline that I studied for many years, still study every day. When I study this, I'm studying medicine. The Buddha was a physician, okay? Make no mistake about that. This is also medicine. So we try to find the causes. And when we find the causes, whether it be a medication somebody started, maybe something that's narcotic, maybe something that's centrally acting, SSRI, something that you use for depression or whatever, some acute infectious state. But whatever we find, maybe the person is dehydrated, maybe the person has some metabolic derangement, their sodium got too low, right? Potassium, which actually will kill you. If it gets too low, you have a heart arrhythmia. But we understand that there are causes of this delusional state. Okay. In medicine, we understand this. Usually, it's from one of those causes. Infection, a medication being introduced, or a metabolic derangement. Could be from a head injury. We don't know. Maybe they fell down. But we go through a process in medicine, and that's how we find truth almost 100% of the time. Because if you think about it, we do it in collaboration with each other. That would be the same as the Sangha in Buddhism. If I don't know the answer, I get on the phone and talk to my neurologist. I just talked to my neurologist a few days ago. Great guy. Shout out to Dr. Moss. We had a wonderful conversation. He told me a joke. I'll tell it to you. He said, "This is the joke. The Dalai Lama went to a hot dog vendor in New York, and he looked at the menu, and he said to the hot dog vendor, 'Make me one with everything.'" So the hot dog vendor proceeds to fill the order of the Dalai Lama. This is the joke my neurologist told me a few days ago. and, and the Dalai Lama uh, gives him $20. Mm. And then he gets his hot dog, and he says, "Where's my change?" And the hot dog vendor looks at the Dalai Lama and says, "Change must come from within." This is the joke my neurologist told me the other day when I told him that I practice yoga. I was basically telling him that I was about to have a seizure, and I use a yogic practice to stop it. And so that's how the conversation came up. So now you guys know the one joke that I know. The only other joke I know is a dirty joke, and I will not say it. So, but you have to understand. Look, the heart of a matter is what you want to get at. The heart of being or non-being. This is what we're attempting to grasp. With the mind, that is bound on every side by form and attachment. So until we undo the moorings of this attachment, you know, because the thing of it is this: when you try to look for something outside of relative reality, then you're looking for something that cannot be fully comprehended with relative knowledge. Knowledge that says that this is because that is. And in Buddhism, we call that dependent co-arising. And we understand that. And we understand that that is the source of suffering. The fact that all of my understanding is based on that level of comprehension. And that there's a level of comprehension that can go, how can I say this? It's inclusive of that. It includes that as well. Okay. But it also goes beyond. Okay. Relative reality. Okay. Because my understanding is this, that if you understand just form is emptiness and emptiness is form, and if you try to say that that's it, now I understand reality. The next moment, someone's going to come up to you and say, "No, form is form, and emptiness is emptiness." Okay, it's a very it's a very paradoxical way of trying to understand reality, and the mind, especially the left brain thinking of the West, has great difficulty with grasping this type of dharma, knowledge, wisdom. And so you have to look within. You have to practice quietly observing your own mind, your own self. And when you see the nature of reality in yourself and you see it with a clear mind, it can't be questioned by centuries and centuries of dogma, because that's what you have. Okay, the heart and mind speak a language that cannot be fully printed on the page. And until you speak that language, what you seek, if you're a spiritual person, you will not find it. Because to lose oneself is to find oneself. And to find oneself is to lose oneself. Okay? The Heart Sutra. Get to the heart of the matter. We say this all in the West all the time. It's part of our language. Let's get to the heart of the problem, the heart of the matter, right? The heart of wisdom is to understand that emptiness is form. No feeling, thought, or choice, nor is there consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even active sensing. No ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes of ignorance. And preceding that, what was said was all things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. And then proceeding, no withering, no death, no end of them. We learn eventually your spiritual teachings will lead you to the point where you understand that life and death are two sides of the same coin. And the fear of it is based on attachment and ignorance. Ignorance is not a bad word. If I'm sitting here talking the same words, and this is my level of understanding, I too have a level of ignorance. Nor is there pain or causes of pain, or cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain. Not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So, gate, samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, samgate, bodhisvaha.